Okay, I think we're almost out. If fire manages to find us in time, I'm gonna stuff that van full of garlic curry.
This is not how I wanted to find out that Dracula actually looks like Mads Mikkelsen, or that the brides look like basically every done dirty female character of color in the 2010s. Shammy, I swear to God, if it turns out Quincey looks like Tyler Posey, I am calling witchcraft!
This isn't like Evelyn with Raccacoonie. Just because I fancast in my dream doesn't mean I'm manifesting things.
Why does this keep happening? We killed him twice now.
Oh, right. You're actually Jonathan Harker, and you're actually stuck in a time loop. I thought Tumblr was kidding! I thought it was a joke! We even wrote it down in the show notes!
Oh, is this what the 21st century considers a joke now? Perhaps it's best I won't live to see it, especially if this is your idea of amusement.
Both of you! Dracula already broke our umbrella stake, and Jazz and Necklace could only hold him off for so long. Get together before we're found out again.
You're right. I'm sorry. And especially to you, Mr. Harker. I can't apologize enough. Don't worry, we're gonna figure out how to fix all of this.
Host Jasmine, we finally located you. Good to see the silver back necklace I gave you came in handy.
Ire! Oh, understatement. Drax got a big old bat-shaped bird right between his eyebrows now. Sure hope that doesn't affect anything.
Oh, dear God, what new horror is this?
Hey! Don't talk about our baby like that. They're gonna get us out of here. Ire, can you get Mr. Harker back to England? We could skip the whole missing in action / hospitalization plot this time around. Actually, do you think it'd be possible for us to send them messages? We can't just leave him stuck in a time loop. Not if we can help give him a fighting chance.
We can try, but there is a slight chance of messages getting scrambled. You need to relay everything right now before we send Mr. Harker home.
I don't understand how this is possible at all.
Well, hey, if there's impossible bad things, why shouldn't there be impossible good things? You're not alone in this, Mr. Harker. Oh, and I don't know how, but whatever you do, do not let Mrs. Westenra throw out the garlic, for the love of God!
Exactly. Garlic wards them off. Oh, and listen to Mina.
Yes, oh my God, yes. She's stronger than you think.
You're right. I know she is. Nope, don't like that. Think we could stop long enough to cram your recipe collection down Drax's throat, Shammy?
Negatory, it's time to go. Mr. Harker, please stay to the left. Host Jasmine, Wild Dweller Shammy, please stay to the right.
Alrighty. Seatbelts, everyone!
Oh, nice. Back to school bus reference. Jonathan, back it up with a G-slur already, goddammit!
Okay, here we go again! Oh, God. I'm actually gonna have to start getting used to that, aren't I? Shammy, you good?
Yeah, I think just... Oh, give me a minute. Why did that feel just like my lucid dreams? Is that why I feel dizzy when I wake up?
I know, I'm sorry. Iris not used to hauling two people at once. Wait, this isn't my place.
Oh, Papa, you mustn't forget the part with the vampire ladies. Please.
Oh, all right, my boy. So, I had found my way to a secret room.
Aww.
Now this is the time loop they deserve.
Yeah. We can't tell the other Jonathan.
God, no.
My apologies. Something went wrong with the coordinates. Let me try that again.
Oh, fuck. Here we go again.
Joanna, darling, light of my life, how did you not immediately realize what sort of trouble you were in?
You know I practically live under a rock. Only vampire media Mum let me see was Twilight.
Oh, be nice, Mina. At least they're safe. And look, I've got the garlic.
Lucy, Love, these are fucking onions.
Well, I'm sorry. You know I don't cook.
At ease, Mina. John, Quincey, and I have got some steaks ready.
And crucifixes, ma'am.
Quincey, you're shagging my girlfriend. We are well beyond mom at this point.
Hell yes, polyculeverse.
Apologies once again. The update I had after hibernation must be faulty. Running an acolyte hatch. Coordinates resetting. And what was the phrase again? Oh, yes. Hold on to your butts.
One more time.
Whoa, what the hell happened to you guys?
Let's just say, when I said I wanted Dracula's brides to eat me, this was not what I had in mind.
You guys had a lesbian vampire encounter and you didn't invite me?
You could have gotten your fill if you showed up in a segment. If you're new here, dear listeners, let me introduce the fourth member of Dracula Weekly, Ellie, a resident Carmilla lover and sapphic vamp expert.
I've actually never read Dracula. I still haven't read Dracula for this thing, and I'm never going to. I'm basing all of my knowledge of this off that Gary Oldman movie from the 90s and the song Dracula from Houston by the Butthole Surfers.
Oh, we will have discussions about that script.
Excuse you forgot me. Expert on the wrong kind of vampire. I was even having my own adventures with them while you guys were gone. Dracula wishes he was as charming as Andrew Lee's.
Well, whoop-de-tap dancing do. Super glad you had a fun vampire encounter because we sure didn't.
Anyway, turns out Jonathan Harker is actually stuck in a time loop. He's already on his third run.
What? My baby!
Yeah, it's pretty rough. So, the new goal of Dracula Weekly is to try to help get him out of that time loop.
Okay, that's nice, but do you, know how to? Or at least have, a half-assed plan? Which, by the way, I already volunteered as tribute to the brides. Y'all aren't taking me out of my Carmilla moment.
Calciprice, and, well, no. I thinks we stand a chance. Right, buddy?
There is a possibility that between our collective knowledge of this story, we can assist our new friends in defeating not only Dracula, but the time loop itself.
I remains an irrepressible optimist. Just be glad Dracula hasn't figured out how to fuck around with dimensions. This could have turned into a really gory version of I Saw the TV Glow.
Shh! No spoilers. And hey, we did manage to warn Jonathan in time, so it looks like we're getting down to business at least. May the odds be ever in our favor.
And may Dracula continue to be gay.
And may his blood stew always be spiked with garlic. I have the perfect Diniguan recipe in mind.
What happened to a good old-fashioned stuffing a garlic bulb down Drax's throat?
It's more ironic this way. He broke my umbrella. Let me be petty for once.
I mean, that's because you whacked him over the head with it while you were dueling. Repeatedly. And that was when you weren't trying to stab him with the spokes. I knew you said you could fight, but my goodness, you're trying to star in polite society too here?
But now you don't have to worry about me becoming a thrall. Problem solved.
I mean, I guess. But all right, Shammy. After all that, you can be a little bloodthirsty as a treat. And if all else fails, Ellie's bride bait.
I'm standing right here.
Fine. You can both be bait. The more the merrier. By the way, Dylan and Dalton of Are You Afraid of the Dark Universe were right. Dracula does look like Mads Mikkelsen. Oh no, cover your ears, everyone!
Ah!
Ow.
Well, at least that hasn't changed. All right, I'd say let's Groundhog Day this shit, but supposedly that took him 1,000 years to get right, so let's not Groundhog Day this shit. Now, where were we? Dr. Seward's Diary, 25th May. Ebb, tide, and appetite today. Cannot eat, cannot rest, so diary instead. Since my rebuff of yesterday, I have sort of an empty feeling. Nothing in the world seems sufficient importance to be worth doing. As I knew that the only cure for this sort of thing was work, I went down amongst the patients. I picked out one who has afforded me a study of much interest. He is so quaint I am determined to understand him as well as I can. Today I seem to get nearer than ever before the heart of his mystery. It's time for Dracula Weekly. It's time for Dracula Weekly. So, welcome back to Dracula Weekly, dear listeners. I know we've been gone for like a month, so we've got a lot to catch up on. I'm your host, Jasmine Garcia, and joining me today,
I'm Shamila Karunakaran, and I may be partially responsible for why Jonathan chose violence this week. Oops!
My name is Callie, and Jonathan Harker is very tired of me babbling about the Strix.
And I'm Ellie, and I gotta get a bike, and I gotta paint it red.
And yeah, so Shammy and I were trapped in Dracula's castle all month, so that is why we are now going to be covering, let's see, all the way up until July 1st. Did we get to May 31st? I don't think we did.
No, we did not.
No.
Good Lord. Good Lord. This has been a weird month.
I mean, if nothing else, Dracula had a pretty quiet Pride Month.
Yeah, basically this whole section was mostly Jonathan freaking out and Renfield being weird and Dr. Seward not knowing the half of how weird he was.
Jonathan being a mood, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Increasingly going from, oh my god, what horror is this, until, he's crawling up the walls again. Let him fall.
I feel like watching some horrible shit happen to the point where you eventually just sort of go like, well, there goes that horrible shit again, is kind of a 2024 mood.
It is, isn't it? And
It's
go ahead.
a 2020 to 2024 mood. Let's get it straight.
I mean, honestly, it's just been an American mood since I was born, let's be frank.
Oof. Too real, man. Too real. And yeah, basically, according to Kaserin Erzabet on Twitter, it is interesting how little of the horror in Jonathan's situation comes from the supernatural aspect. The horror comes from being trapped and gaslit by a powerful man in an unfamiliar country where no one will help him.
Okay, in fairness, they did try to help him. They told him don't fucking go.
Except he was very wrong genre savvy. He was not savvy at all.
So like one of the most interesting things that Alan Wake, the video game, the first one, plays around with, and Alan Wake 2 does a little bit more, is like Alan, in the context of the story, is writing the events of the game. That's the big reveal at the end of Alan Wake. Spoiler for a 15-year-old game at this point. And one of the problems he runs into is he can't write himself just winning because he's trapped in a horror story. And that would be like writing an ending where everything is fine and everything's happy would be breaking genre so badly that it wouldn't work. And so, like, I really love the idea in horror where, like, yeah, everyone's like, hey, dude, don't go to that fucking castle. Shit's weird. He's weird. You're gonna be in trouble. But he has to, because he's gotta go there. You know, I love the idea that, like, it doesn't matter what you want. You gotta go, bitch.
Nope. And it's also him being trapped by Conceal Convention because it's literally his job to go there.
Oh man, it is capitalism, isn't it?
Yep.
The man is too nice to not go.
Yeah, but you're right. June and July, or late May, June, or like what is this? The 5th, man.
Yep.
Are very like it's a point where sort of like I feel like Jonathan is sort of like sunk in, like, okay, shit's fucking weird around here. Let's just power through, babes. Let's just put our heads down, ignore the dude climbing the walls, and get it done.
No, but the entire time, like, he was, like, looking at Dracula climbing the walls, like, I kept thinking about him learning how to skeet shoot from Quincey, so the next time this comes up, he's just gonna throw rocks.
I can see that. And
Look,
I
Jonathan.
go ahead.
Jonathan was more aghast at being framed than he was at anything else that ever happened in this story. Like,
Yeah.
hey, you're wearing my you bastard! Get the fuck back here! Those are my clothes.
I'm not the first person to make this joke, but identity theft is not a joke, Callie.
Yeah, I know.
You should have gotten a good. Hold on. CPN, Closed Protective Network. That was pretty bad. I'll come back to me when I got a better punchline there.
No, I love really.
No, he needs a VPN. He needs a Vampire Protective Network.
There you go.
You just want to protect the
And
vampire.
Dracula is completely unrepetitive. He actually blows a kiss to Jonathan. It is right in the text.
It is indeed in the text. Like,
Callie, you know what to do.
Much like Carmilla, take a shot, dear listeners. Ellie referenced Carmilla.
Take a shot, dear listeners. Callie said Dracula's gay.
Well, that's what I was saying. Like, there is one of the things that makes Dracula and Carmilla so interesting in their age is that, like, I don't think the queer subtext in either of them is unintentional. It's just supposed to be an aspect of the horror. It is supposed to be terrifying that this man is flirting with Jonathan. It's supposed to be terrifying for the father that his daughter has fallen in love with Carmilla. And like,
we're all just like, don't threaten me with a good time.
Exactly. Like, what makes it interesting in retrospect is that aspect has completely fallen away. Because, like, hey, this hot vampire girl is going to come and seduce you. I'd be like, yeah, please.
You promise?
Promise?
Except for the brides. The brides were not good at consent, let me tell you.
Brides are pretty bad at consent.
Yeah.
But, like,
Dracula, but that's neither here nor there.
The whole thing is like this ball of, like, repressed Puritan hedonism fear, where like the writer is clearly going, ew, but you know, like the way horror is supposed to like dance on that edge of like, but you know what I mean?
That's the thing about queer-coded villains. It's like, yeah, sure, I'm sure to the homophobic straight audiences that is indeed terrifying, but they didn't account for the fact that queer audiences were going to latch on to that shit.
It's very funny because I was just watching a TikTok-y type video where the guy was like, he's a redneck, and he was like, yeah, going to Walmart and seeing the pride flag did not make me gay. I grew up around tractors and shit. This argument holds no water. I was not like walking into Walmart going, get her done. Saw a rainbow flag and went, get him done.
No, pride flag did not make me gay. Special Agent Dana Scully made me gay. Which is
we don't have time to get into that.
Which is a person that Jonathan Harker could really use. Bam, we're back on topic.
Yeah, and at this point, Jonathan needs to pull off a Laura Hollis from season 1 of Carmilla. It'd be hilariously meta. It would be, what would Mina Harker do?
Exactly. And then it'd be like an infinite loop between these vampire stories.
I'm gonna ask, like, okay, it's been actually years since I reread Dracula all the way to the end. I didn't only read up to where we are. Spoiler alert, listeners, I was kidding. I have actually read Dracula.
Yeah, do you want to share some of your connections to Dracula, actually, since it is your first episode?
I mean, like, you know, I was a lonely, weird, horror-obsessed teen. And I was also just, like, Dracula's one of those stories who, when you're, like, a little pretentious as a teenager, you can, like, read it. It's not, you know, Proust or James Joyce. You know, you can actually get through it. And, you know, that's that. So I read it when I was a kid, and I read it again as an adult. I think that it kind of, like, stops being as interesting once they get to America. Once they get to England and stuff stops being, like, letters from the weird shit happening in Transylvania. But I also, like, I've seen a bunch of Dracula adaptations. There are more Dracula adaptations than there are stars in the galaxy. I'm very fond of the Christopher Lee, for example.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
But, and I think I saw the Gary Oldman version when I was, like, much too young to get it.
You really like that Gary Oldman version, according to that bit you did.
I do like the Gary Oldman version. I do like the Francis Ford Coppola adaptation. It is a very like that movie goes hard. Like I can't even like justify it beyond that. Movie goes hard as hell.
It does. I will say, on the Dark Universe server I keep blathering about, we do script reads every once in a while. We tried to actually get through the original script for that version of Dracula, and
of course you fuckers did.
Yeah, I actually did Mina for that. It would have been so much fun, but it's just like...
Gasp. You were Nina? Mina, rather? You were Mina? I'm shocked. Shocked, I say. Well, not that shocked.
Well, that was going to be my question. Like, doesn't shit not work out super great for Mina?
Mina lives by the end.
Who am I thinking of? Is it Lucy?
Lucy
does.
Yeah.
Lucy's
Although it's funny you mention that, because there are several adaptations that switch their names for some ungodly reason. But
why?
You can blame the original play for that, because...
Yeah. No, you can go ahead. Shami, did I cut you off by accident?
No, I remember that Stoker's Widow tried to sue the play, and then they did the 1931 version of Dracula based on the play. So technically, it's not an adaptation of the actual book. So you can blame all of this on pop culture osmosis through that, and Bela Lugosi by extension.
Sure.
Slightly wonky adaptations of Dracula are kind of a tradition. You know, that's where we get Nosferatu, which we're getting a remake of soon. It looks bad as shit.
Wibbly wobbly vampire wonky.
But anyway, my point is the script was just the epitome of she breasted boobily. The script itself was so misogynistic and objectifying. Like people who complain about the Francis Ford Coppola movie being too sexual have no idea what they dodged through his direction.
Well, the writer is James Hart. He wrote Hook.
Mm-hmm.
He also. This information makes me so happy. I'm gonna drag it out. He wrote the first draft of the screenplay, which became the 2011 film adaptation of Atlas Shrugged.
Oh boy.
Shut the fuck up, Ellie. No, he didn't.
So happy about that information. Oh my god.
Fuck and rind.
So I have more reason to hate him. Great.
Man, this is not a good script. This is not a good
not a good dude.
This guy's. I mean, I don't know if he's a bad person. He's just got a bad.
He wrote Atlas Shrugged. He actually slogged through it enough to actually write the fucking screenplay.
That's another book I've read. I hate that book. He wrote his best movies appear to be Hook and Bram Stoker's Dracula. He did also write, I'm very sorry, Muppet Treasure Island.
Oh!
What?
How?
One of these is not like the other.
My
childhood.
After
he wrote Contact, which was directed by Robert Zemeckis, and much like Robert Zemeckis, everything went wrong after 2001. We got Tuck Everlasting. We've got Lara Croft Tomb Raider, the Cradle. Sorry, Lara Croft, Tomb Raider, the Cradle of Life. Top tier title right there. August Rush? Man, that movie sucks. Oh, he also wrote he also wrote the script for The Last Voyage of the Demeter, which I actually liked that movie.
Oh, so this guy's just really attracted to Dracula things. Okay.
But yeah, Two nickels, huh?
But yeah.
I mean, no, I'm done talking about my connection to Dracula. I watched, and then when I got to be 16, I discovered Carmilla and felt much more attracted to that for reasons that we're not going to talk about.
Same hat. Same hat.
I just prefer Dracula, but that's a me problem.
Gee,
Also,
why, Callie?
Callie has a fucking problem. That's what the problem. That's why.
Also, we have to address the other elephant in the room. The goddamn Giesler.
Yeah.
Fucking stop it! Stop it, Jonathan! Stop it! Bap, bap, bap!
And Jonathan even used Romani just after that. He could have just been referring them to that the entire time. And then the other word that he used is literally just a G slur in Romanian. Stalker, why? You had to do other languages too?
Look, I don't want to be rude to an Irish author or to Europe in general, but like if you ever hear a European say that like unlike America, Europe is not racist, just casually ask, hey, how do you feel about Romani people? And be prepared to hear the biggest racism you've ever heard in your life.
Exactly.
And then you could be like, you were saying? Just what the fuck?
And then you add in the Victorian era of it all.
Yeah.
Romani people is like so casual and accepted in Europe in general, but especially in the British Isles. Sorry, Ireland.
Sorry.
Is like it is just like it's so hard for people to examine it. And this was written in what, like the 1870s? Like obviously they're never gonna examine it back then.
Yeah, basically I think it was 1890s, but all the same, yeah. Actually,
it's awkward. It's uncomfortable.
Actually,
nobody wants it.
No, you know what? I'm wrong. It was 1869.
But they still could have censored it at least, or just used Romani in place of that.
They weren't going to, unfortunately.
No, I meant for Dracula Daily. They have at least, some say over what to do or not.
Since it is a public domain work, that is true. And I mean, that just begs the question when it comes to these old books that do have terms that we would now consider very deeply offensive and slurs. Like, do we try to censor them and pretend they didn't happen? Or do we use them as a way to discuss why it's wrong? And, this is a complex issue, unfortunately.
At this point, I just think all the bad things happening to Jonathan is the universe reacting to him using the G slur. I accept this explanation.
I also accept this explanation.
Karma.
So, I'm a fan of H.P. Lovecraft, and, I don't know if you're aware of that. Dude was super racist.
Yes, he was.
To the point you can make a meme out of his cat.
Exactly. Well, there's the thing. That cat, name and all, actually makes an appearance in the short, The Rats and the Walls. And it's a good short. It's actually a really good short. It's really creepy. It's a good Lovecraft short. But the two thoughts that I have about that are, one, I don't think we gain anything by pretending like he didn't write it this way. He did. It is there. And those are in public domain now, so I don't think we gain anything by pretending he doesn't. But also, that one is, it really hits you, but the more pervasive, the more insidious stuff in Lovecraft's writing that, gets at his racism is stuff like an early paragraph in The Call of Cthulhu, where he's, basically talking about how he thinks that, non-white people are equivalent to, half-human monsters. That is the stuff, and it's really gross, but
Vomit!
Exactly, yes, it's gross. It's gross, awful shit from Mr. Lovecraft.
And this is why I support adaptations like The Ballad of Black Tom, where you literally have a black author turning all of that on its head.
Mm-hmm. Right.
But and then we have Lovecraft Country, which does the same.
When you're reproducing the original text, I think it is important for people to know that, the cosmic horror, the H.P. Lovecraft's writing of cosmic horror was very much tied into his fear of the other. And honestly, that's kind of still there with Bram Stoker's writing. The fear of the vampire is the fear of debauchery and the other and disease, and all those things are sort of tied together. And it's important that when you're reproducing an older work, I think it's important that you keep that in mind, because otherwise you're just gonna accidentally reproduce shit without thinking about it.
That is a fair point.
I think it kind of, Warner Brothers did a really good job with this with the Looney Tunes cartoons, where basically they kind of put in front of all their cartoons where they said, hey, we're going to keep this shit in there, but this shit was wrong then, it's wrong now, it never should have been done, but we're going to keep it the way it was made, and to honor the it was like honor the artistic merit or whatever. So I don't remember exactly what they said, but basically they're like, this has always been wrong. It's what's wrong then, it's wrong now, but we're going to leave it the same so that it can be like a cultural dialogue type
and also
thing.
Because to take it out would be like pretending it didn't happen, which is not a cool move either.
I think that was more like what they were saying. I couldn't remember what it was. I'm sorry.
I have my Oscars podcast, and someday I'm gonna roll up Gone with the Wind, and like,
don't fucking do that to me. Don't fucking do that to me, Ellie.
Am I supposed to pretend that movie like doesn't exist? That it wasn't
yes,
at the time the highest grossing movie of all time?
Please, for the sake of my sanity, yes.
Sorry,
just add all the forewarnings if you're gonna do that.
Oh yeah.
I fucking hate
trigger warnings. Just this unholy scream for 30 seconds straight.
God. I hate that.
We are very off topic.
We are super off topic. But
and then we also see Dracula also using the G slur. May it spell the beginning of his doom.
He did, and we at least know it does. But you know,
Baps
we'll get to
for
that
all the
when we get to
racist. Baps for all the racist.
Stake him.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, or in Jonathan's case, hit him with a shovel. I got it.
Yes,
I did not know. That was not a cultural osmosis thing for me.
That should be included more.
That should be included more.
Why the hell has that never appeared in like a Scooby-Doo episode with Dracula or some kind of vampire? I feel like that would be a really fun
what day was that? I don't remember that.
That was on the first.
Oh, okay.
It was on July 1st, yeah.
I think the Wishbone episode included that.
Oh, goody.
Lovely.
Hold up, I might be imagining this. Wishbone Dracula. Was there actually a Wishbone Dracula episode? I'm curious about this.
Fingers crossed.
Because I'm sure that Wishbone was Jonathan in that. It feels like and the image of a little dog hitting Dracula in the face with a shovel gives me so much joy.
Exist. I don't.
No.
I'm thinking of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde that he did.
Oh,
that's even funnier.
That one's even more awkward. Like, isn't Mr. Hyde like more or less explicitly a sexual assailant?
Yeah,
not in the novel. Not in the novel, technically. At least
no, but he stopped a little girl. Yeah, he just like curb stomps a little girl and then like pays him off, and it's pretty much like he just does horrible things just for the sake of it.
And it's very vague on what the horrible things are, so of course most adaptations make it things
go
like
that direction.
Assault.
Yeah.
Even though there are the 1,000 directions you could go that aren't that, it's a little weird that's the first thing your mind went to, but pop off.
And also I would like to say in an episode that has not aired yet, one of our friends did try to say he did have a wife, that Dr. Jekyll does have a wife in the original novella. Callie and I just read it. No, he fucking didn't.
Not.
And I knew it.
He does not.
I was gonna say, I don't remember that at all.
They're like confirmed bachelors. They're just literally confirmed bachelors here.
That's why there's so much gay subtext in that one too.
And this is
gay.
Jekyll. Go ahead.
No, but then this is literally why there was a book adaptation called My Dear Henry, where they had both Utterson and Jekyll be black gay men.
Yep. Also, circling back to the main monster we're talking about, I have to say the description of when Jonathan finds Dracula in his casket looking so much younger with his mouth full of blood, that image absolutely owns, as does the description that he had a smile that Judas in hell might be proud of. I gotta admit, Stoker, when you have bars, you have bars.
Jonathan Sleeping Beauty, this is not my
whole fucking...
What was that, Callie? Sorry.
The dirt, like that whole fucking, when he found him in the dirt, it was just fucking,
I mean, yeah, like it's not something that's brought up a lot in vampire media these days, but part of where the whole vampire idea of the vampire came from, especially with the New England vampires, as Sam likes to point out whenever they get the chance, is they would
sad. We'll get lots of chances.
Yes, but they would find these bodies that didn't look like they were decaying, and it looked like the blood was still flowing. They looked very young. It looked like their hair and nails were
still growing
still. Although that would turn out to be actually a sign of decay, ironically. But yeah, like that kind of imagery was where it came from. Hold on a second. Thank you for your patience. Just received a call. But yeah, like Stoker clearly had heard of those stories, and I have to say, described it very well. And it, like, I actually do think that's one of those the few moments that's still effectively horrifying even now. Because, I mean, yeah, you find your boss like that, it's gonna freak you out a little, I think.
I do think that, like, Dracula's kind of such a weird case because I think it is effectively scary, but you have to sort of, like, step out of yourself for a little bit because, it's not a reveal that he's a vampire anymore. It's just not. Like, it's like finding out that Freddy Krueger is a child killer in Nightmare on Elm Street. Like, yeah, we all know.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I think if you can, like, get yourself into the text and get yourself kind of lost, and I think one of the advantages of Dracula Daily is that it lets you do that a little bit. It lets you, like, parcel out this stuff enough to get involved in it. I think that it can be quite effectively scary sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, for sure.
Especially if you do it in serial format like this, like especially in the Victorian times. Not all novels were like published all at once. They were like serialized in chapters week after week.
Mm-hmm. And also, just if you put yourself into, like, I've talked about this before, how Jonathan Harker, just knowing nothing about that sort of thing probably would not fly if they were to do a modern version of this, just because we are so saturated with characters who are at least somewhat genre savvy. Like, Jonathan would have had to live under a rock to not cotton on to the fact that Dracula's a vampire at this point.
Or, like we've said, he's a Malcolm Bride type.
It's interesting how that stuff, like, works in reverse.
Mm-hmm.
Because like, I remember I watched the 2020 adaptation of The Invisible Man. And, like, part of me wondered, like, maybe this would have been... It's a great movie, incidentally.
It's so good.
Part of me wondered if it might have been a little bit more effective if it had been called something else. Because...
Maybe.
I feel like the first 2/3 of the movie, or like maybe the first, like, half the movie, they are playing it coy enough that you could pretend that she's being literally haunted by her dead ex-boyfriend, and then the reveal that no, he's invisible and he's stalking her would, like, hit you in the face.
I could see what you mean. That actually would have been really interesting.
So like, I wonder if you could ever do that with a Dracula movie without by like calling it something else. And
I mean, they did try to do it with Abigail, but like it got spoiled. So that
that movie also kind of slapped. And it's a shame that they dropped the reveal up front.
Yeah, it would have been very cool if they hadn't.
Jazz and I have a lot of thoughts about Universal monster movies, but that's not the point.
But on the other hand, they like
wrong podcast.
They released that vampire movie, I don't know, like a year and change ago, like last September, I want to say. I don't remember. I didn't see it in theaters. Where it was like the trailers are playing it like a horror movie, but it was actually more like a gothic romance. And like people didn't go see that at all. I forget the name of it. It wasn't Crimson Peak, which tried that as well.
Describe it.
Peak, it was like a lady goes to like her family.
You mean The Invitation?
That's it.
Right, yes. We really liked The Invitation.
That movie slapped.
Right, but it like played, the trailers played it like it was a horror movie, but when you watch it, it's more like a dark gothic romance.
Yeah.
And it was good.
And I don't know if they know how to sell that as like, again, Crimson Peak, same exact thing, I think, and they didn't know how to sell it, and then it flopped despite being amazing.
And that one's also an adaptation. That's an adaptation of Turn and Screw.
Or at least it has, like, traces of it, yeah. Yeah. It's almost like Hollywood doesn't know what to do with things that are a little
original
more
stories.
Yeah.
It's one of the problems I think that Hollywood has is that if you have something that steps outside of your usual trailer format, a movie that can't be sold with the usual trailer format, like either you've got to do something incredibly weird and unique, like the trailer for Kinds of Kindness, which I still haven't seen, but I want to see this weekend, or you've got to like just accept that you're gonna have a really like Bodies had a terrible trailer. I nearly skipped that movie because its ad campaign was so bad, and that movie rules. So I feel like Hollywood right now just doesn't know how to sell weird, unique movies without just letting the creator themselves, make a weird, unique trailer and gambling on it.
Or just learning how new ways to market movies. It's the age of the internet. Experiment.
Yeah.
I mean, like, Love Lies Bleeding is a very hard to market movie, and it had a really good marketing campaign, but it was also like a really small marketing campaign because it's kind of like a small movie.
But
go see Love Lies Bleeding, I guess.
Yeah. But anyway, we talked a lot about our Johnny boy. Let's go on to Dr. Seward and Renfield shenanigans, because there was a little bit of that too.
Don't eat flies. That's all I need to say.
Yeah, at the beginning of this, I was going yikes with Dr. Seward because he fully admits that he's being cruel to Renfield, but he wants to keep him mad.
Yeah, I'm sure there'll be no consequences for that, Doc.
Oh, Dr. Seward, you fucking mom.
Yeah. He really is. He really is a dumbass. And definitely the one of Lucy Seward's I like the least.
Even more than Dracula?
I'd rather have Dracula over this fuckwit.
You know what? Dracula's not pursuing her yet.
Fair.
I pick the bloodsucker over that fuckwit every day.
Hold on to that thought.
Nope. You can't change my mind. Jazz, you know my thoughts.
Again, we'll see. But yeah, it's like, because cultural osmosis, and also because I have seen versions of Dracula with Renfield before, I know what's coming. So it's just watching Dr. Seward just be like, he's into spiders now. Wonder how that's gonna go.
You're gonna regret it!
You'll be sorry!
I have no clue what's happening.
No. Also, I forgot, Dracula can control wolves. Like, most adaptations always leave this out, but it's making me wonder if his ability also applies to werewolves and, like, dogs with wolf ancestry. So he's basically a wolf choir conductor.
I love that description. I believe, don't quote me on this, I do believe that vampires and werewolves kind of derived from an earlier monster. I gotta double check on that. But yeah, it's actually so fascinating how much of Dracula's abilities they pull out in most adaptations. Because when you think about it, Dracula is like ridiculously overpowered. But that's, I think that's part of the horror. It's just like, how the fuck are we gonna beat this guy?
Eat him off a cliff.
I think that, like,
He can climb up castle walls. He can climb up the cliff.
Or turn into a bat.
Yep.
Not if you tie cinder blocks to his legs.
I do find it kind of like interesting which powers a version of vampires includes. I always feel like if you cut the aspect where they can't come in unless they're being invited, you're taking yourself too seriously, man. That shit owns.
Oh, Ellie. Nope. Let's be quiet.
I agree with you, Ellie, if that helps. Also,
and my favorite scene in my favorite vampire movie is based around the vampire needing to be invited in. So
I
I'm right.
love a good fight scene where a vampire's pissy that they have to be invited in, and they're not.
There's a bit in Let the Right One In, this is the movie I'm talking about, where the vampire is like basically emotionally blackmailed into coming in without being invited.
Ooh.
And like most versions usually like they bounce off the door. In this case, she basically starts coming apart at the seams. And it's a really good scene. Man, that
Ellie,
movie rules.
you'll forget about this by the time it comes back around because season 3 of the spin-off is 5,000 years away for us. But because it's towards the end too. But in the originals, we find out that when a vampire doesn't get invited in and you push them in, they basically explode.
That's rad. That's rad as shit.
I'll link you to the scene. It's fucking wild.
I do know that vamps have to, they didn't say this explicitly in the episode I watched. You can cut this out, Jazz. But they did infer heavily enough that they need to be invited in that I picked up on it.
Yeah, no, that comes up a lot. It becomes, you get some people throwing fence posts at each other in a pissing match.
Hell yeah.
And you get a propane tank on fire.
Oh no, I think Ellie might actually really enjoy Klaus then. But anyway,
yeah, Ellie's gonna love Klaus. The little knucklehead.
Yes, he is a knucklehead, sure. But yeah, it's just wild few weeks of just Jonathan being scared out of his mind and Dr. Stewart not nearly being scared enough. Have we got any other thoughts?
The G-Sir is becoming the equivalent of piece of cake here. But unfortunately, we have to deal with a vampire colonizer instead of a goblin king.
Dracula versus Jareth would own.
Also,
no, I don't want that. No.
Also,
please don't. Jazz, don't do that to me.
What if they kiss?
That's better.
I'm not gonna lie. Jonathan's reaction, like this is my last thought on it. Jonathan's reaction to seeing Dracula crawling up the walls again feels very much like that John Mulaney, like, adult life is already so weird. This might as well happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Honestly, very street smarts moment. Jonathan needs to have some street smarts moments. You want it? Go get it.
It's funny you should mention
Boom! Orange juice. That's life.
Yeah, no, somebody, because I've mentioned this before in the Dracula Weekly, the Dracula Daily book, they include memes and posts that people did about as they went through Dracula Daily, and Ghostly Graphist actually did the Ben Affleck cigarette meme, but edited to look like Jonathan, basically. It was great. So, yeah, while Jonathan's still scared out of his mind, watching Dracula do his lizard thing is just like, yeah, sure, it's Tuesday.
Why the fuck not? He's more offended about the clothes. They might think that's me.
Jonathan has no hinges left. Dracula just tore all of them off.
I've no more fucks to give. My fucks have runneth dry.
Pretty much. Except he can't even go buy fucks because he's trapped in a castle.
He did try to leave, but then, Dracula snaps his finger and then the wolves howls and,
and he's like, okay, I'll stay.
It's like a more fucked up version of that scene from Beauty and the Beast.
Yep.
Is that where they got the inspiration, you think?
Huh.
Song is old as time. I was gonna try to.
And John.
Yeah, I was gonna back that to do that Dracula and John, but I sort of ran out of steam on that last line.
Also, one last thing to point out. I am deeply amused by the fact that Jonathan was insulting the brides, but then was just like, not that I don't like women. I love Mina.
Baby.
He mentions Mina at the end of most of his entries in this because he's not sure if he's ever going to see her again. He is such a wife guy, you guys.
See,
he's just dumb.
I was gonna do the pop star bit, I'm not gay, but if I were, just like ending every level, not gay.
Okay, hang on. I have a meme here. This is really going to interfere with the world tour. This is really going to interfere with the tour.
This is going to ruin the tour, you mean?
Yeah, I was referring to like the Andy Samberg pop star fake documentary. It's very funny.
Never stop, and hell yes.
I was just joking around because that meme is stupid, but
that meme is stupid. I'm not actually clear on where it's from.
Justin Timberlake got pulled over for a DUI, and he said this is going to ruin the tour, and the cop didn't know who he was.
So he was like, "What tour?"
Timberlake?
You know what? Valid, Ellie, valid.
Wait, what? What did Ellie say?
Even when I was a fan of NSYNC, I didn't like him.
I know who Justin Timberlake is. I'm just sort of like.
Yeah, no. The cop was like, "What tour?" And he was like, "The world tour," and then got arrested.
And now everyone's memed to death.
You're a multimillionaire. Take an Uber when you're drunk. It's fine.
His buddies were behind him.
You don't have good friends, Mr. Timberlake.
His buddies were like, "Let him go. We're right down the road." Anyway.
You can take an Uber.
Yeah.
Right. So fucking stupid. Anyway, yeah, sorry.
Any further thoughts before we go into Callie's predictions?
One last thought. Jonathan, you have to stop falling asleep in space places. The library is not even safe anymore.
No.
Is nothing sacred anymore?
No. Not in Dracula's castle. I should know.
Here in my castle full of bats. Aren't any lots of dirt? I don't know.
Well, you got the piles of dirt right, at least.
Yeah.
I was trying to make a pun on that. It didn't work at all.
Oh, well. Anyway, Callie, predictions.
Number 1, Jonathan will continue to remain autistic.
At this point, we gotta do some new ones, hon.
Yep.
Fine. Okay. I got a new one. Hang on. Fine. If you insist on a new one. Hang on. Number 1, Jonathan will find the clothes that Dracula stole from him. Number 2, Renfield will escape from the asylum. Number 3, Dracula will get even gayer. I don't know how that's possible, but it's going to happen. 4, Mina and Lucy will be even more lesbian-like. Or not lesbian-like, but you know what I mean.
More sapphic.
Coded. Yeah, coded, you know.
The cottagecore life.
Yeah. Number 5. Jonathan's travels will be disrupted by vampire shenaniganry.
That's not a prediction. That's just what's happening.
Yeah.
I meant his travels back to England, like from where we're at now.
Okay, predictions about the boyfriends then.
Ooh, boyfriends. Okay. Lucy's boyfriends. They're all going to start a polycule with Lucy, and they're all going to live a very happy life, but the doctor's going to yeet himself off a cliff because he doesn't fit in.
I mean, it's not a million miles away. Come on, I can do bits. I can do bits.
Yep, you can do bits.
I hate the doctor, sorry.
It's okay. Dr. Stewart does indeed kind of suck.
Okay. Not even me casting Jacob Anderson as him could save him.
I mean, Louis kind of sucks too. I love him, but he does.
Which, by the way, the fan cast for that we talked about in the previous Dracula Weekly is officially up. You can go check it out on Tumblr. And to the person who said, "Oh, good to see Mickelson Dracula is a thing outside of the Dark Universe podcast," this is gonna tell them.
You are loved.
I gotta check something to see if I'm right about what I was right about who played Lucy in that TV show that I used to see gift sets on Tumblr.
Katie McGrath?
It was Katie McGrath.
It was.
Yes.
Katie McGrath. She's got big sapphic energy.
She does.
Yes. Correct.
I have gotten some exhausting explanations of my friends about why she should fuck Supergirl. Somewhat Supergirl.
She's also kissed
Maybe-
Gemma Chan, and honestly, I got sapphic energy from her ever since Merlin.
Yeah.
Maybe she did fuck Supergirl. I'm not 100% clear.
No, but she did kiss Una Chaplin.
I don't trust the lesbians on Tumblr, to be honest with me.
Nor should you.
Yeah, no. They tricked me into watching Pitch Perfect.
Oh no.
See, that one, I watched like 60% of that first movie. I'm like, this is the worst movie ever made by a human. You can cut that out, because if that goes on the podcast, people will be mad at me.
Anyway, speaking of Shammy's Fancast, who's got stuff to plug?
Who wants to go first?
I'm still Ellie. You can still find me on Twitter and Blue Sky and Medium at LSR42. You can find me on Tumblr at Football and Tuxedos. And I have my own podcast, The Biggest Night in Podcasting, where we, meaning me and two randomly selected guests, or not randomly, volunteers, watch a randomly selected Oscar movie, with the only requirement being that one of us, at least one of us, has to have never seen it before watching it for the episode. We've got an episode on The Aviator coming up soon. It's going to be great.
And I think I'm still Callie, as far as I know. But I'm going to be starting a podcast coming back this back to school season called Postcards from Mystic Falls, where I'm going to basically take all of, as a resident of Mystic Falls, I'm going to be dragging a bunch of newcomers into the coven of crazy pants people who are living in my trash pile. You'll be able to find us on the social medias at Mystic Falls Pod. You can find us on Twitter, TikTok, Tumblr, all the good stuff. Facebook, we're on there too. You know, anywhere you want to find some good quality media, you can find us there. We love the CW. Then you can find me at lucianmichelson.tumblr.com. That's going to be the best place to find me. And we hope to see you come this back to school season. It's Mystics Falls. Nothing bad ever happens here.
And you can find me on the Online Muse on Tumblr, where I do all sorts of fancast requests. I'm working on something special for next week's episode, so stay tuned for that. And I am currently down to 300 for my debt, so my GoFundMe is still up. So any help to get me over that finish line, greatly appreciated.
And as always, you can find me on Twitter, Tumblr, TikTok, and Blue Sky at Faye Riviera. You could also follow the show on Twitter at IER Podcast. And if you would like to help us reach the next chapter of our story, please consider leaving us a review or rating us on the podcatcher of your choice, telling all of your friends and family about us. And even better, if you have room in your wallets, please consider donating to our Patreon, our Ko-Fi page, or just the support the show link below. And now let's close out this week's Dracula Weekly. I shall not remain alone with them. I shall try to scale the castle wall farther than I have yet attempted. I shall take some of the gold with me, lest I want it later. I may find a way from this dreadful place, and then away for home, away to the quickest and nearest train, away from this cursed spot, from this cursed land, where the devil and his children still walk with earthly feet. At least God's mercy is better than of these monsters, and the precipice is steep and high. At its foot a man may sleep, as a man. Goodbye all. Mina. Meanwhile, in the Polyculeverse...
Hey, can we play Don't Stop Me Now while we beat this vamp's ass?
I mean, he's a vampire, not a zombie. But fuck it, absolutely, yes.
And meanwhile, in the Papa John's timeline...
Yes. So glad my trauma entertains you all.
What was that, Papa?
Oh, nothing, son. Nothing.
And meanwhile, in the time loop...
Mina?
Jonathan! Oh, thank God! Why is this happening again? We can't lose Lucy again, and I want our son back. I'd warn the others, but I don't know if they'd believe me. Oh, darling, I'm so sorry. What are we going to do?
No, darling, please don't apologize. I'm sorry. Somehow I've trapped us in this hell, but we may have more allies this time. And there may be a way for us to reach them.
And finally, we return to the Prime timeline. I cannot believe this stupid glitch in the multiverse made me miss Pride Month. This is criminal and homophobic. It just makes me so mad, like, hey.
No! What happened to my sweet girl, huh? She's gone!
You want answers? Fight for them.
Eddie?
No, let me go.
Eddie!
Let me go.
I'm sorry!
Have you not? You've done enough!
I'm the Swan Queen. You're the one who never left the pool. I'm sorry. Eddie! Eddie!
Happy Wrath Month, everyone. We're back. Thank you so much for your patience, dear listeners. And yeah, Dracula Weekly has lore now. And I really want to give a big shout out to our voice cast, including Shamila Karunakaran, who played herself and Ire, Brandyn Daae as Jonathan Harker 1, Mike Fatum as Papa Johns, as he called himself, Charley Marlowe as young Quincey Harker, Mina Harker 2, and Quincey Morris, ER12EU as Lucy Westenra and Mina Harker 1, Calliope Castle as Joanna Harker and, of course, themselves, Ellie McConaughey as herself, and, of course, I did provide some additional voices there. There is a non-zero chance you'll be hearing from them again.